What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. We are back. Preseason is officially over. Tomorrow, we have the 53-man roster cut down. So a lot of things to be paying attention for. This episode's kind of be us talking about the preseason players, the roster as a whole, and what we thought about, just overall preseason, everything like that. Guys, I apologize. We couldn't do the streams. I was playing in a golf tournament. I forgot to check what time the Ravens game was. I live on the West Coast, and I was like, oh, I'm I'm teeing off at 8. I'll be fine. And all of a sudden I see the Ravens games at 9 a.m. my time. And I'm like, oh man, totally should not have entered this golf tournament this early. Was able to watch the game. So now I'm aware of what went on and everything like that. But Joshua, preseason's over. We've already made some cuts. What are your thoughts on some, of the Ravens news that's been happening recently?
Man, honestly, I think the most surprising cut to me was Pepe Williams. I didn't really watch too much the preseason games this season. I was out of town. This past Saturday, I was down bad. My allergies was whipping me up. I was able to catch some of it, but I mean, I don't know how much Pepe played, but I really thought that he was going to be one of those guys that could play the intricate part, to that secondary. It's very interesting to see. I'm very interested to see how that QB room is going to look. I know people had high hopes for the strong arm Devin Leary, but Devin Leary, it just ain't been matching up. I would honestly look. I'll be enticed to see if they go out and get a third QB, or maybe stick with Emory Jones. Emory Jones did have moments. He kind of looked like Tyler Huntley-esque without the DTMing. So that's going to be an interesting move. Also, with Keaton Mitchell out till October, Owen Wright was, I think I'm saying his name. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I know he was putting up a good campaign until he went down with the injury. So I know it's going to be one of the best available. So Nate McCrary did look good against us, though. I will say that.
Yeah, it was funny. All of a sudden, I see. I think he was wearing number 30, and I'm like, I hear McCrary, and I was like, "Is that Nate McCrary?"
Yeah,
and of course, he looks like he's the best running back in the game because Nate McCrary's the GOAT. We were pushing that agenda for a long time, but unfortunately, Tyshawn Williams kept getting the pull, and he kept fumbling. That was a rough year for running backs. Was that the Le'Veon Bell, Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman year?
I think so.
It was tough. But yeah, I think Pepe Williams, he played a fair bit. But unfortunately, Jalen Armour-Davis looked better. And it was really surprising to me because the last 2 years, Pepe has been much better in preseason and in the games than Jalen Armour-Davis. But Pepe Williams just was not playing very well. He did end up getting a sack, I want to say, in the second game. But, yeah, it was really unfortunate because I was really excited to watch him, and it just wasn't happening. He was trying to do punt returns, and he couldn't really get it going on the punt returns. I still thought he would have been on the team, but apparently maybe it's a situation, we used to do this with Brent Urban. Remember, we cut him, we put guys on IR, we bring them back. Maybe it's a situation like that. We can bring Pepe back, but
I think Bo made a strong point.
Yeah, Bo Braid stood out. We have a lot of good corners that are fighting for these spots, and hopefully that speaks to what we think of TJ Tampa and what he's able to do. But Living Legends in the chat, how's it going, Living Legend? We got Speaking the Truth. We got Rave Kingdom. And I gotta say, I loved what I saw to Bo Braid, and I loved what I saw to Sanusi Kane.
I heard Kane was a hit.
Stood out.
I heard Kane was a true hitter.
Yeah.
I did watch Braid in Maryland. I mean, he played good ball at Maryland. Recently, like Maryland safeties and corners have been making a name for themselves in the NFL. So I mean, if we can keep him, I'm not going to say he's a Geno Stone type of guy where, Geno Stone was just like in the right place at the right time where the ball was in regards to interceptions. But, Bo Braid he still is kind of a right place, like time in regards to knowing when to come up and make those tackles and putting his nose on the ball. So I mean, it definitely will be interesting to see how many safeties we keep on the we'll keep on the depth chart. I mean, we did bring in Eddie Jackson. I mean, that was a good move. But at the same time, you still want to get younger and get that youth, and he could possibly be a special teams move as well.
Yeah, he looked really good on as a gunner on punt coverage. I saw him doing that very well. So very excited to see what he's able to do. Just so people know, as of right now, the people that have been cut, according to Jeff Zrebiec, are Sean Ryan, Russell Gage, Mike Reigerman, I think is how you say he played a little bit, Riley Sharp, Daryl Simpson, Trammell Walther, Jack Browning, and Tayshawn Manning, and then obviously Pepe Williams, unfortunately. But one thing that is nice, some players that we really liked yet to be cut. The man out of Iowa, Joe. He actually looked really good. He got a sack. He was getting some pressure. He's still in the building. Dayton Wade is still in the building. I'm sad to see Russell Gage get cut, but we didn't see him. Maybe he's just not healthy enough as it stands right now, because Anthony Miller looked a lot better. But a lot of UDFAs still have a good chance, I think, of making this team because of the new kickoff rules, really. And with that said, Joshua, do you have a guy that you think, because we have to have 2 kickoff returners, who do you think the Ravens are going to try and put back there week 1 with the new rules?
I mean, honestly, my dark horse, if you keep him on a 53-man roster, I'm going with Bo Brady. But another guy that I like that could also probably bring another level of energy, I'm going to go with Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace is a very, Swiss Army knife type of guy. He definitely takes his opportunities to try to make the best of those moments, honestly. I feel like he could bring that electricity that we have been missing, on that side of the ball. He showed that last year. Not saying he's going to be very consistent, not saying that, it's going to be a kick return all the time, because, I mean, look at the rules. It's taking the fun away from special teams. Let's be honest about that. But, Wade and I got Wade and Tylan Wallace kind of being those possible 2 guys back there returning kicks.
Yeah, I think that I really like Dayton Wade potentially, but I also think that Chris Collier, if we were to keep him as our RB3, because he's the only healthy one with Owen Wright's injury and then Rasheen Ali's injury, Chris Collier had some decent returns on the kickoffs. I think he had one that he got up to the 30-yard line. That's about above expected, because a kick return that gets you to the 20 if you let it bounce into the end zone. If you don't, you want to return it to the 25 on average. And he looked solid. So that at least provides some value offensively, which is surprising. And it's unfortunate that we had the injuries we did to guys that were really balling out. Guys like, unfortunately, Owen Wright, who stood out as, I think, the best running back we had in preseason was certainly Owen Wright as a UDFA over a guy like Rasheen Ali. Don C, what's going on? Yes, rest in peace to Joe D'Alessandres. I probably am butchering that, but we all know who he is. We know what he meant to this team. We know, I mean, he's been doing press conferences forever. He's been a coach favorite. He's been a guy that everybody's looked up to, and everyone's always respected what the Ravens offensive line was able to do, and that came down to him. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL for a decade, and unfortunately recently passed away. So it was very unfortunate that he had to step away. Never good when that happens. And then obviously we found out over the weekend the sad news. But hopefully, the Ravens are able to persevere and push through it. We also lost Jacoby Jones this year as well. Just and unfortunate. Feels like every year we're losing more and more Ravens, and never want to see it.
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was rest. I mean, rough. Rest in peace to Joe D. Rest in peace to Jacoby Jones. I mean, I did hear John Harbaugh say the season is dedicated to those two guys. It should be. I mean, honestly, and I think the beautiful thing about it is you got past and present Ravens and even guys that are not even a part of the team anymore, still giving Joe D his praise, and still giving him his flowers and showing him love, no matter what the situation or circumstance was. Same way with Jacoby Jones. I would have loved to meet him in person because he clearly seemed like, he was just a type of guy to light up the room. But it's also a thing too. I mean, not trying to get sidetracked, but men and women, everyone else, out here, we need to take care of our health, physically and mentally and emotionally, man. When things creep up on us, definitely, address those situations as soon as possible. Especially if you can get the right help. Definitely go and get that, man. I know how it is first-handedly. I'm dealing with some stuff of my own personally, but I'm glad that I went ahead and went to the doctors, and I'm working on it to work on these issues that can be reversed. So make sure to take care of your health, man. Take care of your health, mentally and emotionally and physically, man. And know that we always here for y'all.
Yeah. Welcome in, Yolanda. Overall, when I'm looking at this Ravens 53-man roster decision, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's the same questions we have had the last 5 years. Who's the last receiver? Who's the last running back? And, who are the pass rushers?
I mean, can we be honest about it? Because I think we have to be real with ourselves. We love some of the moves that EDC made. We love some of the moves that Ozzy even made previously. But we make cheap moves. We don't. Maybe once in a blue moon, we go for a splash. Mm-hmm. I would have loved for us to go for the Matt Judon move. He definitely was diplomatic in his response when getting traded to Atlanta. I mean, that was the most honest opinion in response that he had in regards of, I can't demand someone to, give me a contract extension and they haven't seen my work up close and personal. So I guess I understand that it would have been different if he was traded over to Baltimore. Even with the Jahan Dotson move, with to the Eagles, I don't even understand all the background about that. But in order for us to elevate, we had to do certain things in order to propel our percentage in winning. Because, okay, you make the move for Derrick Henry, but you didn't truly address that offensive line. You brought in Rosengarten, which I feel like can definitely be a starter day one. But you move a 6'7", 320, 40, whatever, 50 pound lineman
I think
to
it's
the
380.
interior. Either way, I know he's over 330. You try to move him into the interior, and he never played that in college. I understand of having guys of utility, but come on, y'all, be real. Let these guys play true to their position. This is where y'all drafted them at. Don't continuously move them everywhere where some players are not going to thrive in the best position. I mean, it's happened for some, but not for everyone. I feel like sometimes we just, we are too cocky with some of the moves that we make, and we are not real about our actual needs.
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate that it's always the same positions, right? Like, it's not like if it's 1 year where, okay, we thought we could get by. It's like I feel like the last 3 years we felt like we could get by with offensive line, pass rush, and wide receiver. And some years it's worked out, but it still ends up being the same question at the start of the next year because either we trade away a guy like Hollywood Brown or we don't re-sign a guy like Matthew Judon. And instead we just get kind of stuck and we're like, okay, like it worked last year. Like last year's pass rush, fantastic. We lost Jadeveon Clowney, our number one edge rusher. And it's like, ooh, are the Ravens going to, draft someone? And they did. They drafted Disa Isaac. But we're just like, okay, like, is that going to be good enough? And we still have the questions. We're always replacing guys. And, it hasn't necessarily worked out some of the time. But I will say everyone needs to keep an eye on the waiver wire because there are going to be good vets that are getting released. Guys like Matt Breida have already been released. He's a solid running back option with great speed.
Marlon Mack is available too.
And Marlon Mack is available. Thank you, John. Looks like, yes. There's just going to be a lot of running backs. There's going to be a lot of veteran receivers and probably some pass rushers as well. So we do have to, keep an eye out keep our ears peeled, see if we can find some, some diamonds in the rough that other people don't necessarily want.
I mean, honestly, with the type of defense that Zachary Orr is fitting to run, if he hasn't been blackballed out the NFL, I would be going for Yannick Ngakoue. I would see where his conditioning level's at. I would see if he's willing to make a reunion with the Ravens. I mean, he is another guy that's under 30 as well. And that's also, if you let him go head up with any offensive tackle, he can beat him.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's sometimes we don't take chances, man. We don't take chances. I get it, that it was a sour move. I think, was he here during the Wink Martindale era?
He was. He did not like Wink, as no edge rusher does.
With all the stunts and everything, I can respect it. I can get that. You're taking away from someone's true, form and element. It's like it's like putting Michael Parsons in all these stunts instead of letting him just be him. Or, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, guys like that. Let them be in their natural habitat, which is getting at the QB, beating their guys one-on-one, and everybody else eat off of that around them. So we need some guys with if this is going to be the year, you have Derrick Henry for two years. You need some guys with killer instinct that's going to complement the offensive side of the ball and also the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. And, we're going to see. I don't think Ndamukong Suh makes much sense because he plays the interior and we have interior defensive line. We're actually good. Right. I don't think we need to add anybody there. I think we need edge rushers, Chris. Should we be concerned about the Ravens stopping the run with starters in there this year? Pearson and Justin Madubuike, I'd be okay. Yeah, I like Pearson Madubuike. I think they'll be good, but it's going to be hard running the football against Roquan Smith. That is his goal. His goal is to hit the running back in the hole every single time. And also, we just removed one of the very few rushing attacks that we have to worry about because most teams don't run the football. And if they do, it's more out of, hey, their passing game is really good. The Ravens' goal is always to stop the run first. That's always their goal. That's what their defense will always be built to do. And now we don't have to face Derrick Henry. So the teams that want to just ground and pound went from 3 to 2. I mean, maybe you can add the Chargers in there. They're going to want to try and run the ball, but they don't have the running backs. But it's really just like the Browns, if Nick Chubb is able to come back this year, that the Ravens have to play. And then obviously the Ravens want to ground and pound. But, when I'm looking at matchups against the Dolphins or the 49ers or all these other teams, you have to stop the run, but that's what the Ravens want to do anyway. And then we have to worry about, okay, when we're attempting to stop the run, how is our defense against the pass? And I love the Ravens secondary, but stopping the run wise, I mean, Kyle Hamilton can hit you. Roquan can hit you. Trenton Simpson can hit you. Marcus Williams will hit you. So I'm not necessarily too worried about that. We got good enough speed. We have good enough strength to be able to stop the run pretty well. Should be a good run defense. The question is the pass defense when we're not blitzing, are we able to get pressure? That's really the biggest thing.
David Ojabo, this is year 3 for him.
Mm-hmm.
Is this technically a contract year for him too?
Year 4 contract year.
Okay, I'm not to say it. I think there's a lot of pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's unwanted or it is wanted. I'm expecting him to have a big year, but another guy that people are pretty much sleeping on is Travis Jones. I know he's kind of behind the depth chart, behind Justin Madubuike, Michael Pierce, but Travis Jones is a guy you can line him all over the defensive line. Also, another guy is Tavius Robinson as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we do have young guys that's willing to get after the ball, but the thing is, you still need that premier guy that can take most of the snaps. Maybe this is the actual year that Adafio Wade becomes have that out of body experience and becomes that guy that he truly seeks out to be, which is a premier pass rusher. Do we feel like he has the intangibles? Sure, we do. He has to continue putting it all together, and he has to consistently put it all together for every game. I mean, Thursday night under the lights, he usually comes alive.
Mm-hmm.
Those primetime games. So I definitely looking forward to seeing his potential, his growth. I have been upset with him since we drafted him. I could be honest about that because I do feel like we shouldn't have drafted him so soon. I feel like he was a day 2, maybe even a day 3 type of project type of guy. But that class that class that we drafted him in, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best defensive end class, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Decent Isaac, how the David Ojabo, how the Adafio Away, since they got that kind of relationship already, how they can feed off each other and get at the quarterbacks being out there on the field. Because usually, when you got your brother on the other side with you, you tend to feed off each other's energy and play better. Kind of being that inter rivalry competition type of thing situation.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to look at it like we have the capital to make a trade, during the season if needed. But the players that they have right now, they are there for a reason. We used a first round pick on Adafio Away. I said when he got drafted, year 4 is the year where we find out what we got. We drafted David Ojabo, who has looked good when he's healthy, has not played in very many games. He looked very solid in the preseason. Kyle Van Noy had a career year last year for the Ravens. And obviously Justin Madubuike on the interior. But it's going to find out, what's going to happen with the pass rush and blitzes. Because Mike McDonald was so good at tiling up those blitzes. Will Zachary Orr, I almost said Michael Orr, will Zachary Orr dial up the same blitzes, and will he have the same success as Mike McDonald? Because Mike McDonald didn't blitz a ton, but he was so effective when he did. And Don C, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I'm sorry I'm so quiet in chat. I'm suffering from PTSD watching that O-line debacle in Green Bay. I know when Lamar is in, he makes the O-line better. Yeah, the Ravens quarterbacks are like so not mobile that are the backups. And also we weren't playing like our guys know when they're blocking for Lamar, they have to block differently than for other quarterbacks because they need to make sure Lamar has the ability to escape. Whereas other quarterbacks, they just go out there and they're just like, all right, just don't let him get in front. And when they do that, sometimes the pocket's able to collapse with no escape because the guys can't get to the escape. But Lamar Jackson, he's harder to pass rush because you can't take a direct line. You have to cut off the angle and then go direct. It takes a little bit longer. Lamar's very good at avoiding the pressure. And I don't know how many people saw it, but someone tweeted out like the Lamar Jackson playoff game, like debacles. and they're posting like the clips from it, and they were like hilarious because like people that say like Lamar is still the same player, like watching that Chargers game and the Titans game, it is like night and day to like what he is now. He's jumping around in the pocket, like he's holding the ball up here the whole time, trying to move it, and it kept getting knocked out. But he's done a very good job at developing, holding the ball closer to his body, reducing those fumbles and everything like that. But yeah, the offensive line looks a lot better with Lamar. We also have Ronnie. We have Tyler Linderbaum playing, and we have a cohesive offensive line. These guys are playing next to each other for like the first time, or technically maybe the third time because they played in a couple preseason games. But Asmodeus, thank you so much as well for the super chat. Always with the food, always with the protein shakes, trying to get those gains. Asmodeus wants to see it.
Absolutely.
Asmodeus wants to see another page. That we do not have. I want to specify that.
Oh man, I mean, it's definitely gonna be interesting. How do you feel about John Harbaugh saying he's not announcing the starting five for the O-line?
I mean, it sucks for fans, but I wouldn't announce anything. Like other teams, some teams put out depth charts. The Ravens don't. And I think it's smart to not put out a depth chart, because if you put out a depth chart because the Ravens put out like their roster and like they'll say like who the starting quarterback is, but typically the depth chart that gets put out by the Ravens is actually a depth chart compiled by the Ravens media with just the roster that was given. And I kind of like it sucks because I want to see like where players are, but I do like it because it doesn't tell teams, hey, our starting slot receiver is this person. And so they're able to just scout them so much easier. Here's our nickel. Here's all this. The Ravens just go out there and they're like, here's our 53 players. And week one, we'll kind of find out with the snap counts and percentage really what the chart looks like. But it makes sense to me from team perspective, but from a fan perspective, it sucks because we like to see where our guys landed, right? Like, is Tylan Wallace wide receiver 4? Or is he wide receiver 7? Like, what exactly is going on here?
Of course. I see a lot of people asking us, Daniel, when we start at right guard. I mean, listen, y'all. Like I just said, the starting five is not even posted. But do I see Daniel starting at the right guard position? No, I don't. I do see him getting reps though in game, like in different packages. But starting, I don't see that happening. Honestly, I feel Rosengarten, hopefully I'm not butchering his last name, is going to be starting at right tackle. I feel like McCurry is going to be at the right guard. I know Voorhees maybe had a couple slip-ups, but that's him just getting acclimated to actual live play against other opponents versus people in practice. I think Voorhees takes that left guard position, and Ronnie Stanley holds down that left tackle.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to see Patrick McCarry get the starting gig at right guard. Also because it just allows the Ravens to specifically use Faalele in particular packages because he's good pass blocking. He's good there.
Yeah.
He cannot move for the run block. He cannot get out there and run block. But you can't have him pull. Like he has to block someone directly in front of him. So like, if there's someone lined up directly across from him, he's going to do okay. And in pass blocking, he can back up and he's big enough to where he's able to still, stay in front at least a little bit. But so like, I think it makes sense. Goal line situations, short yardage situations, you can throw him in as an extra offensive lineman. But I don't think it makes sense to have him there every play because if we're in there, say it's third and short, we go Derrick Henry, halfback dive or power right, and he's playing right guard, and he gets blown by because he's so slow off the line, and Derrick Henry gets hit right away. That's the best time to tackle Derrick Henry is when he's not moving forward. We know that as Ravens fans. Hit him early. He can't gain momentum. Because if you are able to be an offensive lineman like Patrick McCarry, who might get beat, You can shed against Patrick Mekari a lot easier than you can shed against Daniel Faalele. But Derrick Henry getting 3 steps of momentum is probably going to break that arm tackle. Whereas Faalele, when he gets beat, it's just guy was faster and he's through him, and Derrick Henry's on his first step, probably isn't breaking that tackle. He might be able to fall forward, but it's really difficult.
I mean, and understand that just because you put somebody in for a set package, yeah, a defense can maybe have something set up for that, but you still got to stop it first.
Yeah.
Plain simple.
Like,
we
use Patrick Ricard. Patrick Ricard comes in the game. We're probably doing play action or we're running hard. Like, we're like, guys know when certain players are in, other things are more likely than not. But at the same time, you still got to give yourself the best chance. Like, yeah, typically in the NFL, that's how we ran offense for 3 years. Everyone knew what the Ravens were doing with Greg Roman. Other teams were calling out the plays. According to Lamar Jackson, they were calling out the plays, and Lamar couldn't audible. And, the Ravens were able to win some games like that. And this isn't an every play kind of thing. It's a couple of formations, a couple of packages where you have them in there and, you're able to see what happens. But, like, we can use Faalele at fullback and put in Josh Johnson and run QB sneak, because once again, I will stand on this take. I don't know how, but the greatest rushing quarterback of all time is the worst 1-yard QB sneak rusher in the history of the NFL. I've never seen someone worse than Lamar Jackson at QB sneaks. He did 2 of them in that playoff games that I was watching, and he snaps the ball. This is Lamar. Here, we're gonna stand up for this one. This is Lamar. This is Lamar. QB sneak. Snap, back up, pick a hole. That's what he does. You know what you do? I'm going to take off my earbuds for this one. This is how Tom Brady does it. So, that's what he does. That's how he was successful. You go quick. You don't take time. And then you definitely don't want to do the Tyler Huntley Jumpman Space Jam reach.
Yeah. Man, honestly, man, I feel like because it's Jim and Greg Roman, it's a new offense over there. They could beat out Kansas City and be the hardball in the AFC Championship game. That's the only way we get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't run the ball because it's Greg Roman, and we'd be set.
I'm not saying, and listen, y'all, I'm not saying we can't beat Kansas City, but it hurts me as a fan to see us make it to the big moments and we go away from our bread and butter that gets us all the way to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are y'all trying to get fancy now?
Yeah,
try during mid season. Don't wait till one of the biggest games of the season. Nah, man. But I do feel like we can make it to the AFC Championship game again. No matter who we play, we just have to play our game, and don't let nobody have the momentum and make it feel like they're at home at our home. Can't do that no more.
When I was watching that game, the other thing that popped into my head was, thank God we now have Derrick Henry, so we never have to run QB sneak again. Because Derrick Henry,
no, we got him for Jumpman.
Short yardage situations, Derrick Henry in Tennessee would do 2 things. They'd either go like, ogre formation, goal line, whatever it was. Everyone on the O-line, Derrick Henry runs, power or dive. Or they'd run wildcat, and it would just be Derrick Henry snaps, and he either runs through the offensive line, tries to jump over, or he run through someone, or he runs up a foot, and he goes, boop, and he throws a touchdown against the Ravens in the divisional playoff game, and ooh, yay. Screw you, Earl Thomas. The other weird thing watching that game was 29 was getting really unlucky, because the first playoff game, it was Marlon Humphrey was wearing 29. And remember the fumble recovery for a touchdown he had that they blew the whistle early on, and then the Ravens got the ball at like the 1, or maybe they got a touchback, but like he returned it for a touchdown easily. And then they're like, no, we called it this, so we couldn't review it. They were like, what? Call it a Ravens touchdown. And then they blew the whistle early. And then obviously the second playoff game was Earl Thomas, and that was the worst game I've ever seen from a Hall of Fame player. That man he's getting stiff armed in the back by Derrick Henry. He was the lead blocker. He's getting cooked in the goal line. Everything was bad.
Did you ever watch the Dave Chappelle show, McConnell? I know you.
I've watched a little bit. I have not watched it all, but I love Dave Chappelle.
Okay. So if you ever saw the skit when he had Wayne Brady on there, and Wayne Brady pulled up to the side of the street, and he had a problem with one of his women, and he said, "As Wayne Brady got choke a female." That's how Derrick Henry was treating Earl Thomas that night, man. He was pretty much Derrick Henry was the pimp, and Earl Thomas was his hoe that night. But yeah, man, that was a hell of a debacle for sure. But no, it's gonna man, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for this season. I'm excited to see the new offensive wrinkles with Todd Monken. I'm really excited to see how they get to expand on their playbook. I'm definitely excited to see how Zachary Orr gets these guys fired up on the defense. And I feel like, just seeing some of the plays and seeing how some of these guys were getting after it, we're going to have some dogs out there hitting. I know everybody was worried about, can he do what Mike Macdonald do? That's the thing. Mike Macdonald had a plan. He worked it out. We're truly taking a chance on a former player. And honestly, putting a player in a coaching position and being able to talk to his players, you can get more out of them. Look at Antonio Pierce and the Raiders. He was a former player. He knew what it meant to get it out the mud. And shout out to Gardner Minshew getting a starting job out there. Those guys are going to play. They're going to play hard for him. When you've been through all different types of situations and stuff like that, your guys going to play. Gerard Mayo. He's no Bill Belichick, but he understands the New England way. He's going to bring his own bit of, his flair. And I promise you, those guys are going to play. Look at DeMeco Ryans. That was a hell of a turnaround. A hell of a turnaround. And Texas is going to continuously build.
Wrong siren. I was waiting for it, man. I cannot believe we never attempted it. We got a James Brochet pass attempt, but we never got Harbaugh wouldn't allow Odell to throw a pass. Ridiculous.
I think they're still up for review about Rashee Rice. I don't think they finalized anything about him getting suspended or not. But, either way, we'll be ready for it.
Yeah, they brought in Juju, so the thought is they would, but we'll find out. Hopefully he does. I'm hoping for it. Let's see. Does anyone else have any other questions?
That's a good question. I don't know who else they could do that with on this team. Damn.
What do you mean who else they could do it with? Malik Cunningham.
You think he come back off the handshake?
I don't know.
He's just a guy that wants to be in the NFL, honestly. James Prochet passed better than Devin Weary. Hey, they both gunslingers now. Literally.
I don't think it's possible to be worse. I told someone, I was like, that's a Packers fan. I was like, hey, what should I watch for when Devin Leary comes in? Because I honestly think he's the worst player I've ever seen play in the NFL. And he's a Packers fan. And Devin Leary went out there and he did not prove me wrong. He was so bad against the Packers. It's like he has the fumble, return for a touchdown. He threw almost 3 interceptions. We threw it right to the Packers player.
Like, well, there is a guy that's just about up there. Trey Lance. 5 interceptions.
He threw 5 interceptions, but at least he can run. Like Trey Lance has some upside. Devin Leary can't run, and he throws picks, and I don't think he ever threw a touchdown.
No. Was it Emory Jones or Josh Johnson that threw it to Tylan Wallace? I don't know.
Josh Johnson had the Tylan Wallace touchdown, and Emory Jones had the massive Dayton Wade touchdown.
Okay.
Devin Leary tried to get a Dayton Wade touchdown. He tried to ricochet it off of 3 Packers players to Dayton Wade.
That's ridiculous, man.
That was a rough one.
Oh, that's a good question. Ron Sauer.
Okay. So, and let's go offense. Quarterback, Lamar. We've done offensive line. Tight end, Mark. And likely will play. 3 receivers. Who are our 3?
We gotta go with Rashad, Zay.
And then I feel like it's just Nelly.
Yeah.
For week 1.
Yeah,
Tez Walker hasn't played.
I'm about to say Tez didn't get that many opportunities, and plus he didn't play a lot either. So
he played 1 preseason game, and Devin Leary tried to throw a jump ball to him, and he threw it 5 yards out of bounds. I was really disappointed. I saw him wind up for it, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, we're getting it." The Tez Walker jump ball, and he jumps up, and the ball's 5 feet over his hand. I'm like, "Oh man, the disrespect." The disrespect. Wrong siren. I mean, Anthony Averett up there is the worst football player I've ever seen in the NFL. But Amon Marshall, I can't stand for the disrespect. Luckily, Boyd's not here. But
he never really had an opportunity to prove himself, did he?
Yeah. For the defense, though, who are our 2 edge rushers?
I think we gotta go with the 2 brothers from another. Ojabo and Adafi.
Okay, so you think Ojabo and Adafe both over Kyle Van Noy, or do you think Kyle Van Noy is I think Kyle Van Noy is the backup. I would agree with that.
I got Kyle Van Noy as a utility guy.
That makes sense.
Like he's our Jared Johnson in a sense.
Yep. Yeah, because he can play Sam. He can play. He can play 5 tech, 7 tech. No. We can't be doing. We can't be bringing it back.
Yeah.
In terms of D line, is it Beeks and Pierce, or is it Travis Jones?
I got Beeks over. I got Beeks and Travis Jones, honestly.
Okay. I'd agree with that. I think Michael Pierce only makes sense for run situations.
Yeah.
Okay. Linebackers. I mean, I think we just Roquan and Trenton.
Easy. Yeah.
Safeties, Marcus and Kyle. But corners, who are our 3 corners? And where are they? So whose slot is the real question?
Let's start off with it. Marlon
in the slot? I'd agree.
Marlon hates I can respect him not liking being in the slot, but it's also a level of respect to him in his game. Because he did mention I didn't expect to get moved to safety at some point in time in my career, which is right now. It's probably the best time for him to get moved to safety, if we're being completely honest. But outside, I'm going Nate Wiggins. I'm going Nate Wiggins and Brandon Stevens.
I'd agree. I also think Justin Tucker will be our starting kicker. Just to throw that out there for anyone worried about that. I think Justin Tucker. There was a type I read in camp. There was a big battle going on for kicker. He barely squeaked in for the kicking role, but
Some people was actually
the young cat can do.
I actually heard some people was disappointed in Jordan Stout, like in some man's kicking. I'm like, Jordan Stout messing up in the offseason?
He had like a 68-yard air yard punt. I think against the Packers. He had a great punt. He hasn't been a bad punter. We don't punt enough. Like, tough to gauge the guy when we're punting from like the 45-yard line. Like, it's not like we very rarely are punting where it's like, all right, you need to just boom this.
Yeah.
Also, everyone remember when Justin Tucker does anything good, everyone tag Justin Tuck. He gets really annoyed because I think Justin Tuck is J Tuck. I think that's just his thing. And so like whenever like it's his like Justin Tucker's birthday or like he hits a game-winning field goal, Justin Tuck like always tweets out. He's like, guys, I am not Justin Tucker. Like I am not playing football anymore. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, always mention him. I added him one time intentionally. I was just like, yeah, happy birthday to Justin Tuck on Justin Tucker's birthday. And I said, even though it was 7 months ago or whatever it was, because he always gets all the birthday wishes. Sometimes like the Ravens account will use Justin Tuck. It's great.
Bad PR.
Yeah. I don't know who runs that, but they need a stern talking to. But I think that's probably going to wrap up this show. We'll probably do a video or live stream tomorrow once the roster is out, just reacting and stuff like that. So, make sure to stay tuned for that. It's been a lot of fun. Joshua, any final words before we wrap up?
No, man, I'm just glad to be back. We miss you guys. We know everything's been a little stagnant. We do thank y'all for coming in. Make sure y'all sharing, like, and subscribe, comment. Keep on showing that love and support for us. This is going to be a great season. I'm looking forward. And get ready for Thursday next Thursday night, September 9th, I believe, when we play against the Chiefs.
Yep, next Thursday.
So, man, thank y'all for coming through always, man. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank y'all so much for coming. Subscribe for more. We'll see all of you again next time.